indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if you could all remain standing for just a moment. We had a loss during the past 2 weeks of both staff and past staff, Bob Shea and Mike Gianetti. Thank you very much. And I know that everyone's thoughts are with the parents in Pennsylvania and throughout other parts of the country which have run into some terrible situations. Just so everyone knows, Bob Shea was a principal at Matthew Thornton School for 18 years and just passed away recently. And Mike Gianetti, for those that may not know in the community, he was the attendance monitor at the high school, and he was a judge in New York and just was very well loved by the students, even though he was in a disciplinary style position. And he joined us in 2001, and we lost him very recently also. The first item we have on the agenda is Bob Lincoln reporting on North School. And for those of you that we'll introduce, we have Bob Shea back in the booth. It's his first night, one of Karen Robinson's students doing the production. And there's a new face in the back on the left. That's Jim Devine. He's from the Union Leader, the new reporter to the school district. Bob.
Mr. Chairman, as you know, the North School project has been completed. It was a very successful project. We overcame rains in the spring, rains in the fall, increased costs in steel, concrete, gas at $3 plus a gallon. But with the efforts of Procon Construction, the architect Frank Marinese, the project was completed. I would like to thank the administration of North School for their support, both the administration, the students, and the teachers, who were very cooperative in, during the 2-year project. As I said, the project's done. We had a budget of $5,500,000. Of that, we returned $112,000 in January to be used for the architect fees to start the South School. And as we completed the project this fall, we have an additional $80,000 that we're returning to the district to be used for the roof on the gymnasium at North School next summer. We didn't have enough time to complete that. We waited until we completed the project before expending any additional monies. So bottom line is we spent 97% of the money, and we returned 3% of the money, and we got a fine building that the district and the taxpayers of Londonderry can be proud of, and one that should service them probably for another 40 years. So again, it's been a pleasure working with the administration and the school board and the administration at at North School during this project. And with that, I'd like you to disband the North School Building Committee, and been a pleasure.
Before we disband it, any questions for Bob? Bob, Nate has something, but before we do, I think that we often don't recognize the value of volunteers in society, and in New Hampshire and in Londonderry. And I know that you really don't want to hear this and may be a bit embarrassed. But your expertise over the past 18, 19 or more years on different building projects in town has been absolutely priceless, even though you haven't gotten a cent for it. And we really appreciate it. And particularly Mr. Zakili is very happy right now. Nate?
You said what I was going to say.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, we just want to thank Bob for his leadership and all his work is just fantastic. I've now had an opportunity to work with Bob on three construction projects, right? And he's just fantastic. Without him, you know, giant hole.
Thanks, Bob. Ron?
One thing, Bob kind of mentioned it, and it was the Procon company. They have done an outstanding job on this building project and other building projects. You know, we tease about the water there. Bob just only wishes he can take that water and brought it down to the high school to put in his pond. But in all seriousness, they did an outstanding job on this project. For all the adverse conditions, a lot of them went very smoothly in the past. We had the weather with us. We had everything going in the right direction. This is one of those projects where it really shows how well they operate when everything went against them. And that was really an excellent job by them, and I think it was a well-recommended team by the building committee to pick them. The other thing is the North School teachers. I mean, we were moving them around and going back for them. Please extend our thanks to them for all the inconvenience that we put them through during this past year to get the project going. But I think it's well worthwhile. I think it's an excellent building. And you want to come up and talk about or mention when the open house is?
Our plan is to have a formal dedication ceremony on Sunday afternoon, October 15th at 4 p.m. And the good news is Patriots have a bye week, so I'm sure we'll have a lot of parents, and we are expecting a good turnout from both faculty, students, and community members. And also, I know the board has received invitations in your packet. I also mailed out invitations to community members and leaders, and also the North School community, South School community, and we have the dedication details posted on each of the buildings. So we're looking forward to a nice afternoon. We have several speakers and a tour of the building in place, and light refreshments will be served by the PTA. So looking forward to a nice afternoon on the 15th, and we hope it doesn't rain. If it doesn't rain, the ceremony will be outdoors. If it does rain, we'll have the ceremony in the gymnasium, again, and using the cafeteria for the refreshments. So hope to see you all there on the 15th.
And our town council representative is here, Marty Bove. And Marty, if you could please take back our thanks to the town council. This project kicked off with, I believe, a slice of property that we needed up there to make sure that we could do the fire access road, and that was provided to us by the town of Londonderry and enabled us to have the playground that Mr. Zakili and Nate are so famous for. Thanks. And we'll see everyone on the 15th, Sunday, at 4 to 6 o'clock. Any other questions, announcements before I move on to meetings? The following meetings are coming up. We have October 4th, which is tomorrow night at room 221. The Strategic Planning Workshop. Nate will, maybe this is a question for someone else, but will that meeting be broadcast or recorded? Because I know that the library is actually meeting tomorrow night too.
It's going to be broadcast because it would come out on a different channel.
Okay.
Because the library would be on 21, so we would, I think, broadcast on.
So we'd probably be on the new 28 or, okay. Sue will check on that. So Sue Ballard will check on that. And if not, it'll be rebroadcast and taped if there's a conflict with the switch being turned. On October 15th, we already mentioned an open house at North School from 4 to 6. October 17th, we have a regular meeting here in this room, the Moose Hill Conference Room. November 7th, a regular meeting. November 28th is a regular meeting. All of these are at 7 o'clock, and on November 28th, that will be the budget presentation. So I have a consent agenda with retirements, resignations, and minutes from September 19th.
So move.
Second.
A motion by Ron and second by Paul. Discussion. Ron?
Yeah, on here, we have Marie Fielding, an art teacher up at North School that is retiring after many, many years of service. I was very fortunate as a parent to have Marie for all my children, and as they're getting older, I wish her well in her retirement here, but it's very nice to see that she's going to be able to go in retirement and have a good time. So the district's going to miss her and her art programs over at North School.
Seeing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Committee reports. First on the list is Michael. Welcome back.
Well, recently on Friday, yeah, we had the MAC plaque. Well, that was the football game. I know it was going on for all week, I think into the weekend, and in the end we ended up tying with Pinkerton, which is, well, I think it's pretty good compared to last year. So the tiebreaker, I think, is going to be the cheerleading team, and that's what I've heard through the grapevine. I don't follow the cheerleading team as much, so that should be coming up within the end of the month or so. Student council is getting ready for their walk for epilepsy. Same thing as last year. Pretty much they're still working on the day. It's kind of conflicting right now with SATs and things like that. And there's some holidays also, but that's going to be coming up within the month. And Waterville should be in November. It's the big leadership, the state leadership conference for all the student councils, the NHASC. The band this Saturday is going to the Salem Band Show. I believe we'll be taking 9 buses. So it's going to be quite a feat. And I think it's Tuesday. Yeah, this Monday, most recent Monday, we started inducting our first members for student council, being 4 weeks into our meetings. So we inducted probably around 30 or 50 people. Some people are still working on. They might be a couple days short of an activity, but other than that, we're doing pretty good with our membership. And other than that, everything seems to be going well so far. So.
Great. Thank you. Mrs. Slozak.
Good evening. The guidance counselors at Matthew Thornton, and those are Ellen Gintz and Diane Connolly, are in the 3rd year of running a Big Buddy program that pairs up elementary school students in need of positive role models and self-esteem enhancement with high school students. The pairs meet on a weekly basis at the elementary school, and they do all types of activities with the kids. They have academic activities where they'll help the kids with projects, homework, reading practice. They also do games, crafts, sports, and other activities that are designed by the high school students to complement the children's interests. This program was expanded to include South School last year and will hopefully soon be including North. Many participating high school students who have access to cars are eager to return to their home elementary schools. And I heard from a high school student who's in charge of the Big Buddy program there, Sarah Cahill, that they have about 50 students at the high school level signed up to be Big Buddies this year. Right now there are more Big Buddies than elementary students, but that number will probably even out as the year goes on. Formalized student assessment has begun with the administration of district writing prompts and the kneecaps, and the kneecap administration will continue for approximately 2 more weeks. Progress reports are in the midst of being distributed. I believe middle school went home today. Trimester progress reports will be distributed on Friday at the elementary school for grades 4 and 5, and the quarterly progress reports at the high school next Wednesday. Books and Beyond began this past week at Matthew Thornton. This year's theme is Racing to Read, and the students enjoyed a visit with race car driver Dave Maynard from 3D Auto Works in Hudson last Friday. Dave and his father Dan brought their race car to rev up the kids to get ready for the program, and Mrs. Mack was even given the opportunity to don a helmet and take the car for a ride. So it was kind of fun. The elementary cross-country racers are gearing up for tomorrow's race. 5th grade students from all 3 elementary schools will be at the starting line tomorrow at 4 p.m. at the high school. And the PBIS program, or PAWS as we call it at Matthew Thornton, had their first rollout. Appropriate hallway behavior is the first targeted behavior, first goal, and the students have responded very well to that thus far. And I'd also like to mention that the staff at Matthew Thornton would like to also pass along their condolences to the family of Mr. Shea. Thank you.
George?
Thanks, Steve. Actually, I can be pretty quick, because the auditorium committee, Ron was able to attend and I was not. And I missed, I think, in a communications meeting, because I actually, for the first time in a year and a half, had to do like real work. So in the middle of the day, I wasn't able to get 2 hours off. That might have been the day you were mowing the lawn, but I'm not sure. So I unfortunately couldn't make that meeting either, so I'm done.
Was he mowing your lawn?
No, he wasn't.
Oh, okay.
It's a long-standing issue. Paul?
Well, I couldn't make any meetings last week either, so
We're very busy people.
I'm just amazed, Carol, with helicopters and race cars. What's it gonna be next?
Do we have photographs of that? We need those to be provided.
She didn't know this, but I actually need Linda to come forward. I need her help on this. If you can join us here. Linda Kettering, the South School principal. One thing I was able to do, I had the pleasure of helping represent my company at the New Hampshire Partners in Education Gold Circle Achievement Awards last week. Our company teamed with 4 or 5 schools on various projects. And lo and behold, I found that South Elementary also was a partner, and in 2 cases. And Linda couldn't make it that night, but I brought the certificates there.
Thank you.
For you, and I thought maybe you could just explain a little bit what the program's about, what those projects are, and take those back with you.
The 2 people that should have been there were myself and Mary Soares, who's responsible for both programs, and we were at the South School Space Needs meeting.
Which I was not at.
Right. That's right. Where were you?
Where were you?
Both programs.
I was at this.
Thank you for representing us. We Deliver is one of the programs that Mary has been the administrator of and the teacher of the kids for, I don't know how many years? 6 years, teaching our 3rd graders the postal program, from checking zip codes and postage to sorting mail and then delivering mail throughout the building. They delivered mail today around 2 o'clock, and they wear special shirts and a bag and sometimes a hat. So it's very impressive, but the longevity of the program and the consistency of the program lies with Mary's dedication. So we're very pleased with that, and the kids get a lot out of that. They even make a field trip to the post office, and we do have a nice partnership with the Londonderry Post Office. Our second business partnership is with the First National Bank of Ipswich, and it's called Savings Are Us. And twice a month, children can meet with an actual representative from the bank and make deposits. It's also a very impressive program, again, for the longevity and consistency that we offer our kids. So thanks to Mary, we have these programs.
So that's nice. You might want to just read briefly what that certificate
Oh, it's here.
says there, right?
Okay, New Hampshire Partners in Education presents on the 27th day of September 2006 the Gold Circle School Partnership Award, South Londonderry Elementary School U.S. Post Office of Londonderry, in recognition of its exemplary educational partnership during the 2005-2006 academic year, which was made possible through the collaborative efforts of school and community. And I believe the next one says the same thing, except partnership award for South Londonderry Elementary School and the First National Bank of Ipswich. So thank you for collecting these for us.
Sure, and you get a free lanyard there, too.
Oh, this too?
35 schools were represented and 80 different companies. I don't know if Nate knows this fellow, but Dr. Russell Quaglia of the Quaglia Institute for Student Aspirations spoke. He's apparently an authority on the development and achievement on student aspirations. He was a great speaker, humorous. He said to us that New Hampshire is ahead of the curve, one of the leading states in the country with its emphasis on following the child, zeroing in on the personal, the physical, the social, the academic needs of the children. And as he explained it, there's three main purposes to that, is to help participants, the students, develop a sense of self-worth so that they are they have role models to follow and opportunities to accomplish things with projects such as this. Learning not only skills, but learning about themselves and becoming young, mature individuals. A second purpose is that all stakeholders are actively engaged. The classroom is fun and exciting, and kids are not afraid to fail, and they're not afraid to succeed. And the third thing was a purpose of all participants having a sense of purpose. Let's not focus on what you want to do, but who you want to be. Teachers focus not so much on what they're going to teach, but who they're going to teach to. It was interesting and enlivening to hear him talk. I was there with another manager of my company who was pretty pumped up by the talk. And he told me after the meeting, I was struck by this. He said, you know, my school, and his children are actually at a school in this region that we know very well. He said, this is great stuff. Gee, at my school, we have huge classes. We have a high dropout rate. My kid, nobody's teaching him how to study. Teachers don't seem to be available to him that he needs to. And in fact, he has sent his son on to Brewster Academy to hopefully get more attention to this school. So it really drove home to me the great things that we do in this school district along those lines for our kids, making those the center of things. I just want to add one last thing. Governor Lynch also made a brief appearance and mentioned that there's been so much on education funding in the last 2 or 3 weeks that he wants to stress that adequacy is not the minimum we can do. It's not the least we can do. It's the very best we should be doing in the classrooms.
Well, we'll see what the legislature comes up with and what that version of best is.
So, thank you, Lynn.
Hey, Doubting Thomas.
Thank you, Paul. Ron?
Okay, I attended a couple of committee meetings, attended the auditorium committee meeting, so therefore I missed the curriculum meeting. They were on the same evening. However, the auditorium committee is working to our presentation for October 17th, and they've got a couple more meetings scheduled prior to our board meeting then. They're putting together a report on that, and that's going very well. Second thing is, Bob spoke about the North School building. We're finished with the project. No more Wednesday nights to see you, Bob. The other one is the rec committee met and on Saturday morning, and what we did on Saturday morning is we discussed the policy that were for sanctioning of groups, and we came up with some recommendations, and the council has taken those recommendations, and at the next council meeting they'll have a public hearing on that, and we'll be discussing those. One of the things for Peter to come up with, and I sent you an email today, was one of the interesting things that came up was a discussion about insurance and town insurance. And basically what we got out of that, all the discussions on insurance, was that the recreation teams are only covered on town land. Basically the town land is covered. And because of a RSA, it's covered there. It doesn't go with the team sports. So I think you need to take a look at that and get into a little bit more. It's an email from Dave Karen on that, because I think that has some implications. Okay, and I had attended the School Business Administration and the meeting. It's a conference up there. I was able to attend one day before work got in my way. As you did, I couldn't get out of there, George, to attend the second day. However, it was a very interesting conference. They had an economic forecast there, and a couple of the things that he was saying there is that, and some of the things that we know is that, first of all, one of the things is that statewide we're seeing a declining enrollment trend, and that trend is clear now. Last year when he spoke, it wasn't so clear, so there's a declining school trend in there. The other item that he spoke about is that, and we all know that pricing has gotten pricing of housing has gotten ahead of income, and he expects to see more of a fix of that to happen. the small business section of the economy is going strong. However, over the last 5 years, we have lost 1 out of every 5 manufacturing jobs in New Hampshire. And the other thing that was interesting was the savings rate in New Hampshire or in the nation is a negative number for the first time. The future is now. And as everyone knows that we're in a buyer's market when it comes to housing, and he expects that to occur. A couple of the other things that came up was that as budget time comes around, we will see an increase in the retirement cost by a couple of percent. That's going to hit us in the budget time, both on our side and on the town side. The other item that we spoke about, and it was interesting, was this 2008 deadline for medical benefits that is looming. And basically, first thing they said is they believe that under the current funding, and they just made a change in the percentages of how much growth that the stock portfolio has to make, from 9% down to 8.5%. However, they believe that the money is going to run out in about 2011. Okay, the interesting number, which kind of I fell off my seat with, is people have been talking about, well, maybe the employees need to contribute some money to this fund to keep this thing propped up. And the number that they presented there was staggering. It would be an additional 15% payment in order to maintain the existing benefits. So I think the employee right now pays 5%. It would be an additional 15%. It would be 20% in order to keep the benefits the way it is right now. So it will change. Okay? There is a group meeting with legislatures. There's a group meeting between employers and employees together to try to see if they can come up with some sort of recommendation to the legislature to handle this, and or to make some recommendations. But it is going to come up. They're still keeping that 2008 deadline, so you need to be in the plan by 2008 in order to participate in it. So that was a very, very big eye-opener on that. The other part that I attended was an accounting, an audit foreman. It looks like that we're listening to her and then talking to Anita afterward. It looks like we're in pretty good shape, following all the rules. One of the biggest rules that they found that's violated is in the area of athletics, is for referees. And one of the questions I had on that was, what do we do when we do issue the 1099 forms for all the referees that extend over the money? So I think we're in pretty good shape with the audits based on, what I was hearing in there, and that seems to be going good. I think, as we looked at the budget and as we looked at this economic forecast, we're looking probably, and I think we've told the board, at a default type of number to start with. So I think the economic news that I heard from him says that that's the right thing to do right now, to look at it that way. So it was a very interesting conference. I regret missing the second day. I don't know if you hit the second day on that, Peter. They spoke about educational funding on the second day. I missed that part.
Yeah, we had an expert on educational funding that in the afternoon.
Yeah, there was a stellar speaker that afternoon.
You spoke?
Yeah.
Packed house. So I guess I didn't miss anything. I've heard it all. On that one.
You wouldn't
Anyway.
have heard anything you hadn't heard before.
So anyway, those are the meetings I attended, but it was very worthwhile going to that conference. I would recommend it to any other board members that want to go. It's a 2-day conference, and they have pull-out sessions where you have some choices of what you want to hear, and you have just the general sessions in there. Thank you.
South School Building, or Space Needs Study Committee, I should say. There'll be a presentation to the board probably sometime in late November. One of the critical issues facing the committee, and there's a plethora of ideas that were proposed, and they'll be researched and recommended to some degree, or maybe a combination of, is relocation of the students during the building phase, if in fact it goes forward. As we're all aware, North School, we did not have that issue because the portables could stay occupied while the building, part of the building was being completed, and we were able to move those children without much, even though Ron mentioned everybody's willingness to participate, there was less disruption of movement of the children. So there was probably, honest to goodness, maybe 15, 16 different ideas given consideration to, and so that was a great deal of discussion centered around what to do with the students while building commences. Budget committee presentation was done by Karen Marchant that was almost identical to the one that was presented to the town council the week before, related to the recent assessments and the impact on the community and individual properties, and I believe the entire board has had an opportunity to either be exposed to that or see it on replay on television. Town council last night, one issue that has some pertinence to the school district is the discussion centered around the new sewer rates. I don't know if the entire board or the community knows, but the school district is, all the buildings, with the exception of South School, are on town sewer and do pay sewer rates. It's based on both flow and consumption. The town, in fairness, has held the rates pretty consistent for a period of probably 8 to 10 years, and it's time to adjust them because of the escalating cost, and those that are on the sewer should foot the bill. So there is an impact to the district. I estimated it to be roughly, if it passes, it was suspended. Not quite sure why, but it was suspended for the next meeting, if I'm not mistaken, for further discussion. But currently, as proposed, I think the impact of the district's in the $8,000 to $10,000 range. I called Chuck this morning and spoke to him briefly, and he came up with a similar number after I told him the proposed rate increases. And I told him to check with Peter as we're in the budget cycle. So the total increase to the district would be in that proximity. But so that's basically it.
Thank you, Dan. Actually, while Bob Lincoln was mowing the Lions Hall lawn, after he had the construction at North School, I attended the Communications Committee meeting. The information sheets are out for this year, and they've been corrected. For those of you that don't know what those are, they are located at the website, londonderry.org, and those information sheets have lots of details about your schools on them, particularly the number of students in the schools and the mascot of the school. We also reissued the crisis plan, and I'd like to speak briefly on that. The crisis plan is a document that we would utilize in case we had a situation here in the community, and it would be followed by the crisis officers that are assigned in each school. We know that here in the United States we've had some issues recently that some schools have come under attack from individuals. I, for one, would like to again compliment the town and its citizens. There was quite a debate that occurred about our police station when it was, they were looking at rebuilding it and they were looking at relocating it. And the concept was to move it out of this part of town so that the criminals wouldn't be near the students, I think was one of the reasons. I'll have to say within the last 2 weeks, particularly with Mac Plaque going on and all of that, I had an opportunity to drive through the center of town, extremely busy with cars, but it was very refreshing to see 2 officers going out, pressing the button at the crosswalk, and going over to the high school to do their duties in the in the community and help supervise the Mac Plaque weekend. The fact that the police station is right here in the center of town, where the majority of our students are, is a tremendous advantage. The Special Education Committee met, and we got a glimpse of the strategic plan as it affects the special education organizations in the schools. And there were several discussions, but one caught my attention, and that is that the organization will be running some seminars for teachers, both regular education, special education teachers, and there'll be 2 special speakers. And those 2 speakers are speakers of our own breeding. There's teachers that already work in our school system, and they've expressed an interest in speaking, and will be doing so at some seminars that will occur for all of the teachers. On the NH Cafe front, I had the honor of being asked to write a counterpoint to a issue on the change in the Constitution or increasing in taxes. For those that don't get the Sunday Eagle Tribune, you can go to nhcafe.org, and if you search there, you'll be able to find that. You can search on Eagle Tribune or my name, and there's links back to the Eagle Tribune for that article that I actually enjoyed immensely in crafting it. On an unrelated front, we have representatives that are running for office shortly. It'll be just a little more than a month here when we'll be going to the polls for them. And Kathy Wagner has contacted both the Democrat Party and the Republican Party and told them that she's trying to put together in our community rooms in the schools so that it can be broadcast a event where the public can come in and ask questions of the representatives. She's looking for a nonpartisan person to actually moderate that. If you have an interest in moderating that as a nonpartisan person, or if you have an interest as someone that's running for office, she can be reached at 432-4800, and we don't have a date on that yet. She's looking for open dates for both the community and the individuals. I think the school system may have some questions they'd like to ask the representatives. In their packets, in the board packets, there's a documentation from the New Hampshire School Board Association. I would like to add an item to the agenda for our next meeting, which is October 17th, and I'd like to discuss our position on items of relevance in that document. One item is one that we've had quite a few conversations on that, and that's the keep the children in school until they're 18, no matter what law. And the School Board Association supports that. I've taken a personal position on that and written to the School Board Association, told them that I don't agree with them and why. But I'd like to have a conversation about that and other items. The first weekend of the month is the School Board Association meeting, which I'll be attending for the district. And George attended last time, and it was a beautiful, beautiful all day. But if anybody else would like to go with me, I'd be happy to have them join me. Do we have anything else? Ron?
Yeah, I have one more. I forgot one committee. The Field Study Committee met also, and this is fondly known as the Bob Lincoln Warren Article Committee. And we spoke about the projects that we completed this time, and there were substantial amounts of work done on the fields. Bob did an outstanding job this year. If you go back there, the PE field behind the gymnasium is in progress. It's growing out there. The par 5, and that's the piece of land that goes from behind the middle school all the way across to almost the football field, and then takes the sharp left or right, whatever way you want to look at it. That was completed, the part that we expected to be completed. So those were 2 major projects that Bob and his group, the group completed. So that was outstanding. There's dugouts now on the varsity softball field that he has worked on there with a press box on that. So all those items have been completed by the committee. They're working out. They developed a long-range plan there, and now they're looking to see how it modifies based on the needs of the district and the recreational group. So that was an outstanding job, Bob, and it came along. It was one of the better years for projects. And Peter's alive, and so is Chuck, so it worked out well.
Okay, great. And somebody may have reported on it, but I may have been taking notes. the auditorium study committee,
Yes,
the report back to,
I think it's October 17th,
Yes.
October 17th, and we have 2 meetings between now and then.
okay, great. Thank you. Nate, superintendent's report.
Yes, I would like to start off with adult computer ed report from Lynn McDonald, our guest speaker this evening.
I'm clearing out the room apparently.
Also our school clerk.
Yes, also the school clerk, that's
I
correct.
know, that's true.
Does an excellent job at that.
No one knows what I do.
Once a year.
Once a year.
She always has a dollar handy in case you forgot.
She wouldn't lend it to me.
Hello. I think everybody knows me. I'm Lynn McDonald. Hi, Mrs. Slozak.
Hello.
Mrs. Slozak had my son in 4th grade. We kicked off a adult computer training program in the spring. I think we started in April and May, and went into June. And what we're trying to do with the program is give some opportunities for members of the community to come in and do some very hands-on, very intensive training on computers. I think it went over very well. There were several classes that went extremely well. The selling on eBay, we held that 2 or 3 times, and that went over very, very well. Managing digital photos was a big seller. File management, we had an intro to Excel class. So I think it went very, very well in the spring. We've now started to do the fall session. I did offer a couple of classes in September. We didn't have any takers, and I think it's because with the school starting and everything, people didn't want to get involved. But we have a couple of things starting October that we already have a significant number of students for, including another eBay class and managing digital photos again. We are offering a holiday cheer class, meaning how to use your computer to send out your holiday letters and do mailing lists and gift tags and that kind of thing. The point here is that Sue Ballard and I have, for the last 10 years, given a lot of adult training for free. We had to keep that very small, 1 or 2 hour sessions, and we had a lot of requests from those attendees to offer something much more intensive that they would actually pay for. So this is a fee-based program. We're trying to get the word out. We've had a couple of ads in the Londonderry Times. There'll be another one this week. We've got an ad running on on Leo 21 that we produced. Sue did the video work. It's pretty good. We've got brochures out in all the schools and at the library and in the town hall and that kind of thing. So we're hoping people are going to hear about it, and it's going to become bigger and better as time goes on. Do you have any questions about it?
I don't have a question, but I'd like to thank you, and particularly Sue as well, because I know you've been doing this for quite some time. And I think it provides, we talk about continuous education, and it provides a great opportunity for those people. And I'm sure we're working diligently on trying to get the message out that this program's available. And I know I've seen it at Old Home Days and the various literature that was there, so I think it will continue to grow. And thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. We've had some requests for other types of classes, too. It might be something we want to think about in the future. Somebody was requesting a Finance 101 and retirement and those kinds of things that have nothing to do with computers. So I'm hoping it's going to grow into something bigger as we go along.
George and then Ron?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, Sue, do you know is there a link out on the website?
Yes.
Okay, Lynn's shaking her head.
Yes.
I should have asked Lynn, I'm sorry.
That's
Thank
okay.
you.
Well, we didn't quite get that up for the fall, but we've gotten, or
that's-
for the spring, so we've gotten it up for
Great.
the fall.
Great.
I was wondering, I appreciate what you've done, because I've heard that people wanted to take courses, and obviously they are, and it's a fee-based course. It gives the community a chance to get into our schools and use it for buildings that they've paid for and maybe not have any children in the buildings anymore, so
Right.
it really works well. Now, continuing on that, hi, Sue. I was wondering, Sue, in the next Insider Press, if we can maybe put a little questionnaire or something like that they could send back, and come up with some brainstorming ideas of something that, see if people would be interested in these courses, to look at it and take some of these courses so we can expand this type of program. It's a for-fee program. It doesn't cost the district any money, and it allows the community to use the buildings on that. The finance course is one. There may be a basic carpentry course that probably would be very well attended if we can find the instructors in the building. There's so many opportunities that we can look at, that I think if we maybe ask the community what they'd like to see and then try to find someone to teach it. And if it goes, it goes, and if it doesn't go that year, maybe it's every other year. But I think we should go and do something like that.
For the thousands of people that I'm sure are watching this program right now, if anybody'd like more information, just give me a call at 289-5003. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job.
We had a lot of viewership when our audio didn't work well. At least they all called.
Next up, Jason. We'll talk about summer school, lift program, and agricultural production program, among other things.
Good evening. Well, it was another successful summer with 62 out of 64 students passing classes and earning a combined 36 credits in the 11 courses we offered. Our attendance rate for summer school was 98%, which is consistent with the 2005 summer school program. And we were fortunately able to graduate 4 more students from the high school by attending summer school classes. The LIFT students became acclimated to the high school, attending field trips to New Hampshire Tech and Tully's in Nashua, and also learned valuable study and organizational skills entering as freshmen this fall. They were also assessed on reading comprehension and decoding and were awarded middle and high school credit for successfully completing the program. The chart on page 3 shows that all 28 LIFT students earned at least middle school credit, allowing them to be promoted to the high school rather than advanced. 14 of the 28 students earned a full high school credit, and 10 out of the 28 earned half credit in the high school. So there were only 4 students who did not earn high school credit in this program, which is outstanding. All students were given, these students were given a breakdown and justification for their credit status, which was also sent in the mail for parents to review. And parents of those summer school students also received the grade and credits earned. Most of these students, LIFT students, are now in the World Studies program, which is taught by 2 humanities teachers and a reading specialist. The agricultural production program was a great learning experience for the 5 students who participated. They learned every aspect of farm management and even helped deliver twin calves, as I mentioned before, in the middle of the summer. 3 out of 5 of those students earned full credit, and another 2 students earned a credit and a quarter because they spent an additional week on that farm working, and that included 2 Saturdays of labor. They liked it so much they wanted to stay on and continue, so that was really for them, and we were happy to see it. Our GED testing center has had a total of 229 people take GED, with 189 of them earning their certificates, so that's 83% over the 3 years that we've run the program. We schedule testing services year-round, Monday through Friday, and have established a preparation and tutorial service for individuals who failed sections of the exam, and we do that twice a week. This information is posted on our alternative education webpage as well. Recruiting stations are still sending 2 to 3 individuals a week on average to test in Londonderry, and we will surpass over 100 testers in this year alone, so we're excited about that with the GED. The adult ed program is offering 9 courses this fall, in which 39 night students and 9 day students are enrolled. We anticipate 14 students will graduate from the program at the end of the semester. Statistically, the night students are comparable with past fall enrollments, but the day students have dropped dramatically. Over the past 3 years, the fall semester total enrollments have been around 50 students. However, the number of day and night students has essentially switched. The night students have increased from 15 to 31 to 39 over the past 3 years, while the day students have gone from 39 to 23 to 9 over that same time span. And we believe it's due to, for a variety of reasons actually, that some of them are transferring full-time into our night program. Some are accessing the Bridges program, which Mr. Dolphin will speak to later. Some are taking those summer school classes to catch up in credits, and others are taking independent studies or carrying full course loads during their day. So I think that's part of the reason we've seen that decline. For World Studies, there's 24 students in the program. They're all from the LIFT program, transitioning in. That's the first time that's happened. We had a parents' night for this program, which was very successful with over 20 in attendance. And Mr. McCune, Mr. Nalazinski, and Ms. Doss, the teachers in this program, outlined the parameters and discussed a 3-day team building trip, which serves as a pivotal part of the program. Just in summation, in the past 3 years, we've experienced a decline in our dropout rate from 2.7% in 2003-2004 to 2.2% in 2004-2005 to 1.8% for 05-06. This is one of the lowest dropout rates in New Hampshire, and I think it's directly linked to all of the alternative educational programs that the school board, district office, and high school have created and funded and facilitated during that time. So we're excited about that. Any questions?
Are we going, I've noticed on the GEDs, what percentage of Londonderry versus out of district? Do you have a rough idea of the percentages there?
Probably, and I'm guessing here, I'd say a little over half are from regional areas, surrounding towns,
Okay.
feedering in, and just under half are Londonderry residents or
And
students.
second question I have is, we had spoken about this before, and about a GET prep course.
Yes.
Will we be implementing something like that?
We're starting out with this tutorial service, and we have 2 or 3 individuals that are meeting twice a week for test preparation and to be tutored in areas that they're deficient with sections on the exam. We're monitoring that to see what kind of numbers we could generate to offer a full semester class. For some of these individuals that are taking the practice test, they're failing just the math or they're failing just the writing portions, so they only need individualized attention in that area. We haven't found yet people that have failed across the board where they'd need 15 weeks of instruction to take this exam. I think it's getting there, though.
What I was thinking of, more of a case like we do with the computer program. It may not be a 15-week course. There's no real credit to get for it, but you may offer over a semester 3 parts, do a math, an English, a history type of whatever the core areas that the test hits, and the people can sign up for those individual sections as they need them.
We could certainly do that and run it in conjunction with the nights that adult ed meets in the high school, so it's a good idea. Are there any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I really want to thank Jason, too. I mean, he's done a great job with the alternative ed program. It's just been super. And I think it's also important to note that not only Jason, but also Mike, with the work he's done, the work Jim has done, and the work the high school faculty have done, and the support that we've received from the school board, the multitude of offerings that we're providing for students is, I think, having a significant impact. Just from my perception, the dramatic drop in the dropout rate, going from a 2.7 to a 1.8 is significant. And the fact that many of the individuals who are participating in adult ed are completing it satisfactorily. And I believe last spring, as the board is well aware, and I think this is worth mentioning, I believe 14 out of the 18 went on to post-high school instruction, on to colleges or either a 2-year school or a 4-year school. And I think having these options for people and for students is really critical, and it's paying off. And we've got the right people in the right place running the program and supporting it, and I think that makes all the difference in the world. And thank you, Jason.
Don't do it before you leave, Jason.
No, again, one of the things that, Nate, I want you to, talk a little bit about it. Steve mentioned the fact is that we're opposed, or he's opposed, and I think the board is concurrent that he keeps children in school until 18. And here's a reason why, if you don't have the programs, we can't make it worthwhile. And if you could expand on that, just again for the public, why I think the board is consensus against it. It's not that we don't want to educate children, but there's a reason.
Well, our philosophical base is that the opportunities and the programs and the services have to be in place for people to take advantage of them. And if, in fact, they are in place, that people will, in fact, take advantage of those. Because, in addition, it's got to be a two-way street. The programs and services have to be there, and individuals have to be willing to participate and do the work. The second thing that one of the other reasons that we're opposed is that as you look at some of the factors that impact individuals who drop out of school, they are factors that are beyond the school's control, i.e. a lack of Job Corps training, a lack of substance abuse and alcohol rehabilitation centers, lack of community counseling, if you want to call it that, and other support services. By simply saying you have to stay in school till you're 18 and not providing the services and the resources to enable community services as well as school services is really, I think, creating a situation that will not benefit individuals in the long run. And that's really the key issue. Its last dying gasps last spring, money was put into, quote-unquote, expand vocational opportunities as a pilot in 2 communities. What about everybody else? And if you're going to put $500,000 in there for 2 communities, how much money are you going to put in for the rest of the state to increase vocational opportunities? And we didn't see that money forthcoming. We believe strongly, and I think the results show, that we want to provide programs and services. But you do reach a point where youngsters are having difficulties in areas that we can't provide services in, and those services really have to be provided by the state. Funding has to be provided to allow that, in fact, to happen. Opening up more vocational opportunities, Job Corps, psychological and alcohol and substance abuse support and intervention programs, just to name a few. Just by saying you can't and not providing the services is not going to make a difference. And it can have, in my opinion anyways, a negative impact. The other thing is that there is some research out there that indicates that raising the dropout age does not significantly increase the graduation rate, and that's really what you're looking for. So identifying programs and services and then being able to fund those programs and services are a key issue. What we heard at one of the testimony was, well, you have the money because these kids were in school before. That's not true, because funding lags 2 years behind. So if you're saying X percentage of kids weren't in school 2 years ago, and you got the same percentage of kids that are not in school today, there was no funding attributed to those youngsters. So in a sense, it becomes an unfunded mandate. We're waiting to see now what the latest iteration of this dropout bill will be, but unless there are resources associated with it, I think that becomes, an effort in name only. And that's going to be a key issue, I think. So, I think it's a philosophical difference as to how you approach this problem.
Jason, you testified on this last year, so I'll consider you an expert in the field. And we know that the board tonight didn't have a lot of questions, as we understand intimately the adult education program and the importance of the programs that you've put in place, if I might say, on your own initiative, and we appreciate that since you've come into the district. My question for you is, well, first of all, we have students that do drop out between the ages of 17 and 18, correct?
Yes.
If you told them, those students that have dropped out, that there's a law that says they can't drop out, what would they do?
Probably laugh, actually. And most of them end up not even letting us know they're going to drop out. They stop coming to school. We'll contact them through letters, phone calls, tell them about the programs we're offering. They still won't come. Some get it later on, and they'll come back. We had 2 this year. They're going to graduate this semester, in fact, after a year layoff in the workforce that decided they need the high school education to get the promotion in their job.
Now, if they come back after they're 18 or if they're 19, you welcome them back.
Yes, we do.
At a fee, at a small fee.
Yes, we do.
Okay. All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
Mr. Dolphin. Yeah, did I wake you up? There you go, Michael. What'd he say?
Go by height.
Oh. We're going by looks, really, Michael.
Definitely last.
There you go.
Hi, everybody. How you doing? I guess let's talk about the Bridges program, articulation agreements, and AP and PA or whatever. No, that's MACPLAC stuff. This year, we're very pleased to say there are 12 students in the Bridges program. So if you, the public and the board, does not remember, this is a agreement we have with New Hampshire Community Tech College in Nashua to send seniors to the college. And basically, it's a dual credit situation. Every class that they take, they receive 3 college credits upon passing, and they get 1 full Londonderry credit. So typically, you'll see students enrolled in 4 classes a semester, which allows them to earn up to 8 credits a year. There's actually 1 student in 5 classes this semester at the tech, and all the students this year are full-time there and receiving credit. So we've gone from 3 students last year to 12 in 1 year. The beauty of the program is that the students range everywhere from students with the 1.0 GPA to 3.2. And I just talked to a couple of kids and I have a meeting with parents tomorrow about students, their son enrolling in the program for 2nd semester. So the change of scenery sometimes makes a difference. The programs make a difference. But typically we'll see if these 12 to 13 to 14 students are successful, they will, at the June graduation ceremony, be announced and probably have as much as 24 credits. So 24 college credits. And in a couple of cases, 2 of the students are going to the program to attain an adult education diploma. These kids were on the verge of dropout, and Jason and I worked with them, and Jim did, to kind of convince them that the 20 credit diploma was still attainable. So they basically had around 11 or 12 credits, and they're going to be able to earn 8 credits in 1 year. So they were going nowhere, and they're in a particular program, a new Honda program, automotive program there, 3-year program that they're interested in. A lot of the kids just do general studies, liberal studies, most of them because they just want to get started and transfer into another institution. What it did last year, the 3 students, we had 1 girl that actually came from Calvary Christian, transferred to Londonderry just to get into the program. And she's now at Rochester Institute of Technology. And the reason she got accepted was because of this program. Because she's a tremendous young lady, but she had about a C+ cumulative GPA. And typically RIT is looking at 3.7 or higher. And the reason they accepted her is because she had the maturity to not only transfer to a new high school in her senior year, but also to go to college and show the independence and maturity, because obviously the kids have to manage their time very well. They have, typical college classes. They may meet 3 times a week on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, have them at night, and so forth and so on. And so it's really excited a lot of the students. Kids were talking about it last year just with the 3 that started, and to have it quadruple in 1 year is rather exciting. And just met with one of the students today who last year his parents were pulling whatever hair was left out of their heads because he was on the verge of just going nowhere, and he's talking about applying to the UNH in Connecticut, University of New Haven, at this point in time. So he's totally a different kid than he was in the spring. So very excited about that. We also have a 5th-year senior that came back, and Jason, I know, and his guidance counselor, Lisa Jacques, worked with him, and he's in the program as well, to not only earn a diploma from Londonderry, but to get some college credits. So in addition, all the technical college systems, the 2-year schools offer an AccuPlacer test. So what it is, it's not an admissions test, it's just a test to determine their writing levels and their math levels and so forth. So they're placed in the proper level of courses. And the other beauty of it is unless they brand LHS into their forehead, none of the people over there know they're high school students. So they're really coming and going as they please. And so far the reports on all of them is pretty good, and I'm asking the tech to check on all the kids more thoroughly. So, and again, such a wide range of abilities, and the fact that a student with a 3.4 GPA who came in to see me today, she's just had enough of high school. So she's now going to try to graduate early and start 2nd semester. And I think what Nate talked about before is the flexibility, the contacts, the programs, the resources make a difference. Certainly, if an 17-year-old decided not to come to school, they'd probably eventually ask Mr. Greenberg for permission to homeschool. And that would probably be the result of the new dropout law. We'd be dealing with a lot of homeschoolers to avoid coming to high school, and that would open up another can of worms. So that's the Bridges program. Certainly, Nashua Tech was selected because they wanted to do this. The Manchester campus thought that it was a stupid, crazy idea. And, of course, dealing with me, they know that crazy is definitely part of it. So, unfortunately, I went back to people that I had worked with in the past, and the New Hampshire Community Tech in Nashua is very happy to have our students over there. So I don't know if you have any questions about that. As Peter knows, I'll just keep going.
Dan?
Mike, I have one real quick one. Where are these students on the enrollment report? Are they in the?
They're full-time. They're considered full-time high school students.
Okay.
They still have if you look in our computer system, they actually have courses enrolled. It's called NHC, TCN, math, science, social studies, and electives. So they're still listed, and it's just that we're not taking daily attendance on them.
Thank you.
I also was asked to talk about the advanced placement courses this year, because we have 10. You probably don't know that there is a new process in place for 2007-2008. The College Board will be approving all AP courses in the United States of America, and we have to now fill out AP course audit forms as of January, and each of the teachers has to submit information as well as syllabi and so forth. And it's being done because there's been some abuse in some parts of the United States on using the term AP. So I don't expect it to be a problem for us, but it's going to be completely up to the College Board. If we have AP calculus, for example, they're going to have to make that decision that that is indeed an advanced placement course. And the only way we have to resubmit the data is if we add a new course or the teacher changes. So it's a brand new process, and we've met with the AP teachers already and talked about that. So we have a total of, in your report, 223 students enrolled in advanced placement courses. But we do have actually 178 because we have 33 of the students taking 2 advanced placement courses, 8 are taking 3, and 4 students are taking 4 AP. And we also have 2 students that are doing an independent study in Calculus BC, which is not offered, but it's offered as an independent study by Joanne Blake, our AP Calculus AB teacher, who the students had last year as juniors. So that would be one area that in the future we would not be able to call that class probably Calculus BC, but they certainly can still take the Calculus BC test, even if they had an independent study that was not called that. So again, it's a test optional situation, but Jim and I have been working hard to try to get all the kids to take AP, that enrolled in AP classes to take AP tests. I'd love to see them all have it be mandatory, but I don't want to push the envelope on that one. We just really encourage the kids to take advantage of the opportunity because some of them can receive second semester standing or sophomore standing in college, depending upon the number of AP courses they've taken during their high school career. Even at the Ivy League institutions, they'll be able to move on to the next level at that point. So 78 males and 100 females are enrolled in our courses this year at that point.
AP questions? Ron?
2 questions. First of all, how many students what percentage of the students took the exam last year?
Last year, I believe we were around 83%.
Okay, that's a significant increase over the last several years. So your arm twisting is working.
Well, we're trying. Yes, thank you.
Okay, second question I have, and is there any additional courses that you're looking to implement or hear a demand for a request for?
Talking a little bit about biology.
Okay.
AP biology at this point, just a little bit last year, and talking about whether or not we go in that direction. So the first thing we've done is to create an honors component in the anatomy and physiology class. So students who are enrolled in the same class have an option to take the honors component and not have to be in a different class. So we're starting with that. But that definitely, we think we have the statistics and the calculus covered, and certainly plenty of history offerings, but certainly the biology is being discussed currently.
Excellent.
Mike, it's interesting to see some of these statistics that kind of contradicts some stereotypes. More women than men taking some of the science and math courses, more men than women taking foreign language. Is this mainly juniors and seniors who do AP courses?
Yes.
So it's over 20% of those two classes that are engaged. Is this also growing year to year? Are we seeing increases in the overall?
Yeah, well, certainly at Londonderry it has. I think the one problem, maybe why the course audit is occurring, a lot of the colleges are taking a harder look at AP credit at the college level and not necessarily granting it. So certainly anybody that is looking for a very selective institution is groomed right from the 8th graders taking advanced geometry that come to the high school to getting all the way to calculus. Some of those kids end up, opting out or getting into calculus AB as juniors. So I think it's grown just in my brief time there. We certainly have seen some swings. The Spanish language grew tremendously this year from the first year, but yet the English lit numbers are down significantly from over 40 students. So it's kind of a swing, and there's no real rationale for it, but they've stayed steady, but they're jumping around a bit. It seems as though the history classes, the U.S. history grew from just 5 students because we went from a 2-year program to 1, and now we're already up to 9. And all of the 5 kids in U.S. history last year took the test, which is a testimony to Miss Oakes, the teacher. So.
You mentioned the boards, the college boards will be certifying the AP course. Is there any fees associated with that?
No fees. No.
And the documentation that we provide is just not the entire coursework, but an overview of the coursework?
It's basically, it's called the course audit form. It'll be we start the process in January for the 2007-2008 school year. And each teacher has a form to complete for their particular class, including information about themselves, and they have to provide a syllabi. So we've already met, and I've already given them a fact sheet or a memo on the process, and many of them have gone to the specific site to download information on it, because they actually have, apcentral.com.calcab. They can go right to that site and start working on it. So I know that a couple of them last week were showing me what they had downloaded. So we don't expect any problems with courses being approved, but I don't want to say, absolutes until everything is taken care of, because certainly our teachers, our AP teachers, are very committed to the courses and the curricular, and they're very experienced and have a great depth of knowledge in instructing these courses.
Thanks.
Articulation agreements. Pleased to report that Daniel Webster College and Franklin Pierce and Riviere are new this year, in addition to Keene State, New England College, Southern Hampshire University, and Suffolk University. You have before you a articulation fact sheet to show that. So currently talking to a couple of other institutions as well about the articulation process, which is really a connectedness. It's really making the high school and the colleges unite. It gives the students a lot of options. So Suffolk was in today, and the admissions rep talking to the seniors was talking about the fact that take advantage of this opportunity. So admissions presentations today about the school and about the fact that, how many people knew that Suffolk has a campus in Madrid, Spain, as well as Dakar in Senegal that kids can go to, and the scholarship monies. So it allows them to look at the schools comprehensively. We bus the students to each institution. I brought some students up to Henniker on Monday to New England College. The beauty of it is 2 of our students who are enrolled there came flying out of their dorm to greet us and to shake hands and to talk honestly to the kids about the institution, which is the real beauty of the agreement, is kids talking to kids. After the bus tours, there are deadlines, because the deadlines allow me to send a spreadsheet to the institutions, and the institutions then can make decisions about interviews in some cases. So the students also have a chance to interview here at the high school with an admissions rep, and all those dates are set. They're all on the website, on the guidance link on the school district website. So just as an example, last year we had 50 students apply to Keene in the first year. Seniors, 24 have enrolled at Keene State. 15 applied to New England College, and 5 have enrolled at New England College this year. And typically in my history, I would be lucky to get 1 student every 10 years to go to New England College. 38 applied to Southern Hampshire University, and 17 enrolled. 37 applied to Suffolk, and 11 enrolled. So I would expect similar data. The kids seem to be aware of the differences, and certainly, if you look at some of the monies, student, Riviere's brand new, a student who has a 3.5 or over is going to get $8,000 a year. That's after 7 semesters, all renewable, so we're talking $32,000. And looking at a couple of transcripts, weighted grades, one student who's at Suffolk had a 3.579 weighted, and doing the unweighted, 3.455. So he saved himself $4,000 by having weighted grades at Suffolk. Another student who's commuting to SNU, Southern New Hampshire, had a 3.278 weighted and unweighted 3.2. She also has given herself an extra $1,000 a year. So it's based on 7 semesters, and definitely the weighting helps. They're pretty good about waiting for the 7 semesters, which is January of their senior year. And the other beauty of it's all of it's non-binding, which means a student, like Suffolk was talking today, the student can deposit the money when they're accepted, have until May 1st, 2007, and not have to worry if they decide not to go to that institution in Suffolk, they get their money back. And the big reason for that is because Suffolk's right smack dab by the State House, and most of the housing there is off campus. So these kids can actually get an on-campus room in one of the dorms, and they have 2 dorms that are new now where you can actually be up on the top floor and see the Prudential and the Boston Harbor and all that stuff. It's just like when I look out my office and see a beautiful Londonderry roof and the water puddles and everything. So we're very proud of that, and the funny thing about this is Franklin Pierce started because last year when the admissions rep was in, he was looking at the articulation wall in main guidance, and he basically was kind of eyeing that. And then when I called him in December of last year, he said, I was going to talk to you about that, Mike. Plymouth State rep was in today, and I have sent a draft to Plymouth State 6 months ago with no reply. The Plymouth State admissions guy was in today and pulled the Keene State agreement off the shelf to bring back to the guy who won't call me back. So more than one way to skin a cat. So what it's done is, in New England College especially, if you look, the students up there, some of them with 2.0, 2.1, 2.2 GPAs are getting scholarship money, going to a 4-year institution, which is what they need. 1,000-student school, small classes, 11-to-1 ratio, and they're loving it up there. Kids that I saw the other day just were ecstatic about being there and very happy to be enrolled. So it's opening up 4-year schools for the student who may not have excelled as well. And of course, we're still, as Jason said, advocating for the Bridges kids as well as the 2-year schools. So it's working rather nicely.
Ron?
Mike, how many students last year took advantage of this?
As far as,
Total number of students that participated in this program and these.
well, Keene State had 50 apps, 24 enrolled.
Were all of them receive scholarships? That's why I guess the
Keene
question.
State's a little different because public institution, and they set the deadline really early because out of all the other institutions, they also waived the application fee.
Okay.
And Keene doesn't do that because it's part of the university system. So every single student who qualified, not a 2.4 necessarily, Keene a 2.5, but a student with a 2.9 was offered $500,000. Some of the students who, like in the Suffolk case, since they started at 3.25 or higher, some of the students who did not qualify with SAT scores, there were admissions officers, and we were talking about this today, the admissions director and the admissions counselor that was there were actually advocating in the financial aid office to get these people scholarships. I would say that probably
based upon just rough figures, we're probably looking at about $25,000 or so that the 5 kids, attained at New England College. Probably at Keene, I would say, very similar number because the scholarships are lower. At Southern Hampshire University, we're probably looking at 54 to 56,000 a year for all those kids. So we're looking at well over 200,000. And at Suffolk, we're probably looking at about 55,000 a year, over 200,000 for 4 years. They have to remain in good standing, which in some cases, depending upon their major, is a 2.5 or a 3.0 to get the scholarship. And the one thing that we tell the kids, this is not the extent of the scholarships. The institution still may give additional scholarships based on their completion of the financial aid forms, as well as obviously our local scholarship process in the winter and the spring. So it's a real great relationship.
Next year, come June, or when you present this at the next year's board meetings, 2 numbers that would be really interesting to have, and you were just running through it. Total number of dollars that students received on scholarships from this program, and the total number of students. I mean, we're throwing out a lot of numbers there, and when you look at a class of just under 400, there's quite a few students here, I think, that are participating in here, and I think that community needs to know that number, and I think you're starting to approach the area of maybe close to 25%, or 15 to 20% of the student populations participating in that. I think that would be a very good number to advertise or put out to the community.
No problem.
Probably a report around, or just before graduation time, too. I know I had the opportunity to go to the baccalaureate last year, and it just was amazing. Not only these programs that you have, but just the numbers, the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars that these students are receiving in scholarships.
Glad to, anytime.
Yeah, it's just something the community doesn't often hear. Other questions?
Anything else? I can go now? I've been good?
There you go.
Thank you.
Michael, thank you. And I think it's important to note that these articulation agreements are a work that Mike has been doing, and it's had a significant impact, and he's just done a wonderful job up there despite Jim Elefante. And, we'd like to thank you, Michael.
And he might have a new office tomorrow.
Yeah, there you go.
I remember from the tour, I think he had the best view in the building, but
Yes,
He did.
he did.
at the sunset and, anyways. Mark,
There you
what?
go. Mark?
Nate?
Before I go into my presentation, I have one announcement I'd like to make to the board and public at home. A week from tomorrow night, October 11th, we will be hosting the Iowa Parent Information Night at the high school cafeteria at 7 p.m. We are going to have that taped so it can be broadcast at a later time on Leo 21. It's basically an information session to parents that are interested in learning more about the Iowas for grades 1 through 9, as well as the COGAT test at grade 2. So, switching gears to monitoring the curriculum. Met with the administrative team over the last several weeks regarding our transition from benchmark monitoring to monitoring the curriculum. And we've come up with a recommendation tonight that I'd like to share with you. There are 2 phases to this proposal. The first phase for this year is to report on the progress on grade level action plans by level in the areas of less than a year's growth or 30 NPR or below on the Iowas, below basic on the NEAP, below proficient on NECAP, or at risk on DIBELS, with the release of the assessment results. We'd also report DIBELS, K3 by trimester, the writing prompts, grades 1 through 5 by trimester, 6 through 8 would be by quarter, and the math computation Scantron tests at the middle school by quarter. During the first or phase 1 year, LMS and LHS will complete the development of common exams in all the core areas by August 2007, based on the benchmarks, the curriculum maps, the pacing guides, and/or course objectives. The elementary schools will determine the number of common chapter and unit tests in math, K through 5, and reading, K through 5, by trimester that appropriately addresses the district benchmarks and trimester guidelines. In Phase 2, which would be 2007-08 school year, elementary level K-5, we would implement the common assessments from the Scott Forsman Addison Wesley Math Program, K-5, and to the extent grade levels are implemented of the Scott Forsman Core Reading Program, K-5, and then observations and trends would be reported to the school board by trimester. So basically, the Scott Forsman Math Program, we would utilize the chapter tests, the core reading program, the unit benchmark tests that are in the core reading program. This fits nicely with the district's approach on the three-tier model and the response to intervention that's currently underway. At the middle school and the high school level, we would implement the common exams in the core content areas and/or required courses in math, science, social studies, English language arts, and foreign languages, and report the results by semester. Common exams between middle school and high school would look differently. The high school would be over a course of a semester. Middle school would be more based on themes or units appropriate to the middle school level. So there would be a difference based on the age levels between the two buildings. I see three things that going to this approach would be beneficial for you as board members, but as well as teachers. First of all, teachers would be able to use the results to adjust instruction during the course of the year, similar to what our primary teachers are doing now with the DIBELS information. Secondly, it would give information to administration. It would offer another avenue to track curriculum consistency during the course of the year. And I think for you as board members, I believe it would provide a snapshot during the course of the year on observations and trends during the course of the year in these core content areas. So this is our recommendation. Do you have any questions?
Okay, I understand where you're going with this. Couple of things. First of all, it looks like we're going to get very little reports this year based on this program. What I'd like to see is reporting on a trimester basis is the type of report you're going to give us. Not come back in next year in November and say, here's the first trimester, it's the first time we see what we're getting. So you're going to be working on the reporting portion of this. What are you going to give the school board? What are we going to see? That's what I'd like to start seeing this year. So if we have comments on it, we can feed them back to say yay or nay on the type of reporting you're doing. What are the trends going to look like? What are the graphs going to look like? What are you going to show me? You're going to have a common test. What is that going to show me?
I think what you're looking at, Ron, if I'm correct, and I think following our assessment presentation, I did provide information on where we made a year's growth and where we didn't based on the assessment information. I think that's kind of what we were looking at, giving you specific pieces of information as to, you know, where our grade levels are meeting or exceeding a year's growth, or they're on track, and then giving you a snapshot of where we're not quite there yet.
So basically, what I would like to see as a board member this year is to show me the report so I can give you feedback, so when we see the reports, we're not asking the questions that we want changes. How are you going to report it? What is it gonna look like? What am I gonna feel? That's what I'm looking for.
Okay, so basically, if I understand what you're saying, yeah, I think I understand now. What you're saying is, show me a dummy sample of how I'm going to get the
Okay.
results
Yep.
from this assessment.
Right.
So that the
Gotcha.
board can look at it and say, yes, this is what we're thinking, or no, this is not what we're thinking. Am I?
Exactly on
Okay,
there.
All right.
I got
I
you.
didn't understand what you.
Okay, I'm sorry. And second question I have is, why can't we use, as we do the draft program, you're gonna use the math program right now. Why wouldn't we be able to use the math program at the elementary schools as the model to do it, since that's implemented completely through it, and even part of the reading program that you have in the classes,
We
the
could
pilot
do-
classes?
I would feel comfortable with the math. At this time, I would not feel comfortable with the core reading program as teachers are piloting that this year. I'd feel more comfortable as it went into implementation. But definitely mathematics, I think that would be a good place where we could begin to show you some reporting.
Right, and that, I guess that's what I'm looking for. What is this gonna look like? So we don't get to our first reporting next year and say, man, this doesn't hit the spot.
Okay.
Mark, in reading, what percentage are you piloting?
We are piloting currently 2 teachers at every grade level in all of the schools.
It's a rather high number.
It is a high number, but again, these teachers are just learning the program and working their way through, and I would really feel uncomfortable putting them in a position where they're learning the program, receiving the training this year. So I think that would be inappropriate.
Okay,
this time.
but then next year, I don't expect to hear that we're doing the training on the other teachers, so it's inappropriate to give me the reading results then. Because
No, I would
two-thirds
agree.
of,
I would agree with you, Ron, that next year would be appropriate as we move into implementation, as we go to full implementation.
okay.
Other questions from the board? Okay, thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Board has in their packet enrollment report as of 9/29. This really is our official October 1, if you want to call it, enrollment report. In pre-K through grade 12, our enrollment is 5,453 students. In addition, we have 18 special education students at a district. There are 73 home study students, and there are 48 adult ed. Of those 48, 39 are completely night students. We had projected 5,472 students, so we were pretty close. We had projected for a total, we had projected 1,804 students at the high school. We have 1,803, so we were very close on that. We had projected 1,311 students at the middle school. We have 1,318 at this point, so that was also a pretty good catch. We have 632 students. We projected 632 students at South, and we have 624, so we're very close there. We had projected 725 at Matthew Thornton, and we actually have 735, so we have 10 more, but spread out over the grade levels, that was pretty good. North School, we had projected 589, we have 583, so we're only off by 6. Kindergarten continues to be enrollment guessing. We had projected 325 based on previous history, and we have 300 at this point. Without real accurate census data, and even with all the attempts we've made, don't know. That becomes difficult to project. As we move ahead, we'll probably look at, for budget purposes, somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 kids at the kindergarten, unless we get hard numbers to indicate otherwise. What we have seen, just so the board is aware, is a ratio of 1.14 going from kindergarten on to first grade. So when the board sees our population projections for the next budget cycle, what we'll be doing is breaking them down by school So if we have X number of kids that are at kindergarten that would be going to Matthew Thornton, we'll take that number and multiply it by a factor of 1.14 to arrive at what our first grade numbers would be. And we actually came fairly close on our projections for first grade too, up and down a little bit. But considering the unknown factor on it, we were pretty good. And generally, across the grade levels, we were very close. I mean, considering the numbers, and overall, we came in within 19, so I thought that was pretty good out of 5,800 kids, so 5,400.
Yeah. Nate?
Yes, sir.
The previous year, is that previous September or
Yes.
what we ended up with?
No, we go October to October.
Okay.
So what you see here, where you see previous year, is the figures that we had last October.
So, can I ask you a question regarding LEAP?
Yes.
How many child checks do we do a year?
4 times a year.
Okay. So with these other grades, typically we don't see a lot of movement up.
Right.
But with LEAP, typically beginning the year with 90, or actually 94, we'll see a continued increase because we always pick up a
Yes.
fair number of children in child check.
Yes.
So it's likely that LEAP will be over 100 students pretty quickly.
I would guess that would probably be
And
the case.
I guess I bring it up for the board's edification that we probably should look at some budget considerations that I mentioned last year, and we might want to certainly take that into consideration this year. One, due to the severity, because also if you look at those programs, the split of 50-50 continuously is, the inclusion program
Right.
is quickly being supplanted by the children with the needs.
I believe, your point's well taken, Dan. I believe
Well, child check, certainly.
yeah. And right now, the ratio in our LEAP program is 56 coded kids and 38 inclusion kids, is where we are at this point.
When do we do child check?
First one is in October. End of October.
Okay. Okay, so we do them evenly throughout the year? Is that how we do it? Oh, okay. Thank you.
Paul and then Ron?
Nate, I have a couple questions about kindergarten. We have, it looks like 9 classes in AM, 9 classes in PM.
Right.
Are the kids placed randomly?
The morning and afternoon sessions are by geographic region. So what we've done is we've basically split the town in half to facilitate busing, so we're not going from one end of town to the other. So that saves us obviously significant amount of money on transportation costs.
So if the AM kids are all north part of town?
South.
South part of, I guessed I was wrong. Within that grouping, as far as placing 18 kids in this class, 17 kids in that class, is it random, or is there any,
Well, what they try to do is balance out the classes, and you notice there's a slight variance. I think we've got a low of 17 and a high of 19.
is it just numerical? I mean, as far as needs go, is that a factor or no?
So, it's taken into somewhat.
No.
Because we do the preschool screening, and Bonnie can,
We have a screening process in kindergarten, so children come in, and we put them through the screening process, and then based on the screening results, I make placements, looking at ability levels, as well as male-female count, as well as any significant issues that have come up that parents have let us know about. Preschools also let us know of issues that, if they've had the children. So I take all that into account when I make class placements.
Good, good. And Bonnie, from the time that you say goodbye to the morning students and you say hello to the afternoon students, what kind of a pause is there?
Enough time for the teachers to eat a quick lunch. The morning class is dismissed at 11:30, but the time we actually get them on the buses, it's more like 20 to 12. And the afternoon children start to arrive at 20 after 12.
20 after 12, okay. So those teachers have a little better deal than the ones in elementary school, huh?
Better deal in terms of,
Having a chance for a quick bite and then take a breath and
take a breath, yep.
go to the next class. Great, thank you.
Other questions from the board, Ron?
Nate,
Yes.
on the kindergarten numbers,
Yep.
can we put parentheses on the north, Matthew Thornton, and south, and put the number of students of that 300? Don't count them in the total,
Right.
but just have them right on the top of the
Sure.
page so we know where they're going next
Yeah.
year.
I can give you the numbers now if you want to write them in.
Okay.
Matthew Thornton, 121. North, 72. South, 108.
Okay.
Nate, I'd like to draw your attention to the distribution between North Matthew Thornton and South School. Can you explain, on the North School, we have numbers in the 21, 22 range.
Right.
In South and Matthew Thornton, we have numbers in 18, 19 range, in the younger grades.
What we tried to do was get the numbers as balanced as well as we could. You'll see lower numbers at South because we basically hit a tip-over point where the numbers were large enough that we needed another classroom, and that lowered all the other numbers across the board. Whereas we fell within the 20 and we got a range at Matthew Thornton of 18 to 21. The numbers fell more evenly. Sometimes what you have is, for instance, with South, we have, for lack of a better term, a flop over number with 118. If I dropped a class there, let's say I dropped the class with 18, I would then have to distribute those numbers across the board. So it was enough to warrant another classroom. And those numbers wound up being a little bit lower than the other schools. And then the other thing that you have is you've got a space issue too. For instance, over at Rich's school, if you remember, we added another quote-unquote classroom. So we had a space issue there. Matthew Thornton has a space issue in a couple of areas because we have classrooms that are 2/3 normal size, and that's why you see some smaller numbers, there. In addition to housing our new PDD program over there too, our intensive program. So sometimes we try to keep the numbers pretty close. We're better. We have a closer difference, if you want to call it that, at the upper grade levels. But part of it is dictated by space, and part of it is dictated by flop over numbers. I don't know how else to describe it.
Okay. Thank you. All set?
Yes, sir.
Is the board all set? Deliberation? So I've already seen Sue Baylor making her way forward so that we can move. Reed would be very proud of us so far.
I'm here to ask the board's okay to expand a grant opportunity that we have had with CERES through the American History Grant. Previously, CERES was able to provide Londonderry Middle School with some video conferencing equipment, which has been used very successfully by our teachers, and recently they've indicated to us they'd like to expand the project through the use of some electronic devices to provide interactive lessons in the classroom environment. This involves using an electronic pad that gives a teacher an ability to use a pen like a mouse to annotate and highlight any computer image within range. And with the device, a teacher can interact with the projected image at the front of the room while standing anywhere in the classroom. They can be at a student's desk while pointing out something on the board or write problems and make notes while standing at the back of the room. Each device comes with an interactive board, electronic pen, software, and accessories, and is valued at approximately $350, and Ceres proposes to provide 2 of these. And so we're asking the board's okay to accept this addition to the grant. We have 2 teachers, Bob McClellan and Jen Maurice, who are very anxious to kind of try this technology in their classroom. And in discussing this at the Technology Committee meeting last week, people thought it would be a great place to incubate whether or not this sort of technology has a place in our school district. So we are seeking the board's okay to do that.
Questions from the board, Dan?
Oh, I didn't have any questions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I was gonna make a motion.
do we need a motion?
Yeah.
We do need a motion, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve the Ceres American History Grant expansion as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for $700 from Suresh.
Yes, I would like to say that Ceres has not yet been able to tell us, there are 2 types of models, and this is the low-end model. They potentially could provide us with the higher-end model, which uses Wi-Fi in the classroom, whereas this is a USB connection to a computer. So if the board wouldn't mind, it might be more of a value on the items up
Just
to
leave the
$1.
motion as it was, and the second as it was, and any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? 5-0, thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
sir.
Thanks, Sue.
Deliberation on LMS Academy proposal and presentation on such.
Thank you, Steve. We're here tonight to propose a middle school academy for students at risk in reading and/or math. Recently, Andy, myself, and Ann Kalachi got together to come up with different ways to be able to bring in the kids that we most desperately want to improve their reading and/or math skills. So tonight in your packet, you have that proposal, and I'll read it for the audience and the community at large. Middle school administration proposes an academy program for students identified at risk for reading beginning quarter 2, 2006, and math beginning quarter 3, 2007. The purpose of the program is to boost skill development and improve retention of learned material for students scoring below the 30th NPR and or making less than a year's growth on Iowa, scoring below proficient on the kneecap, as well as failing report card grades in reading and or math. The expected outcome of the academy is that students will improve their skills as measured on Iowa kneecap and report card grades during the course of the year. Parents would not be assessed a fee, and transportation would be provided. At the high end, the program could serve 24 students in reading, 24 students in math, with a class size no larger than 8 students per class per grade level. The program is designed to run 2 one-hour sessions per week at the end of the regular school day. 3 teachers certified in reading and 3 teachers certified in math would be hired to teach 2 sessions a week at grades 6 through 8. They'd be paid for 3 hours per week, 2-hour contact time with students and 1-hour planning, and be paid $30 an hour. It comes out to $7,290 for quarters 2 through 4 in reading, $4,860 for quarters 3 and 4 in math. These funds would come from unspent 2006 summer school funds. Identification of students, promotion and registration of students, management and supervision would be the responsibility of the middle school principal and or associate principal. The program administrator would send out invitations for the program to parents by November 1st and confirmations due back by November 10th. Academy program teachers would be provided with packets of information on registered students that define their reading skills by November 16th. This cycle would be repeated prior to Q3 for mathematics portion of the academy. Following the conclusion of the program, a report and parent survey information will be presented to the school board. Students who participated will be monitored with NECAP, Iowa, as well as report card grades to determine growth in reading, and I'll add math as well for those participating in math. Do any of you have any questions at this time?
I think this is a great program. This is cheap money for something that can make a real impact on kids who need the extra help. Let me ask you, how do you plan on communicating this opportunity to the families?
What will happen is, at the end of the first quarter, every family receives a letter if a student has failed a course. At that point, working with guidance and the other members of the administration, we would select the students that we feel are in greatest needs. And the criteria we'd look at, are their grade reports, their student test scores, what are their conduct reports, what are their absences, teacher input, parental input, and are they already in academic intervention program that we spend a lot of time with a group of kids for homework. So if they're already in one program, we'll look and see who would have the greatest benefit. But we'll take that criteria and really try to identify the group of kids that we feel would gain the most from this program. We will set up a contract with the parent so that if a child is failing to attend, they might stay after school, but actually get them to go to the room might be a difficult task. And what we would do is simply call the parents and say, look, it's not going. Johnny or Susan doesn't want to go. We're going to move down to the next child. So there'd be constant communication with the parents.
During the program?
During the program.
Andy, it says here that invitations will be sent out November 1st, and you need an answer back in 10 days?
We're looking at right at the end of the first quarter, and hopefully we'll be able to get answers when they come into parent-teacher conferences, which will be on the 17th. They'll meet with the team, and at that time, the teams will also know who have been selected, and would like a commitment from the parents at that time.
So will the invitation on the 1st from, I guess from administration, perhaps signs it, or the guidance counselors, will that be the first notification parents will have that we'd like you to consider this program for your child?
Well, they would have a progress report, and they would have had communication from guidance counselors and the teams that the academic progress is not heading in the direction that we had hoped. And then the teams would be referring those children to guidance, to the administration, and we would sit down and really kind of handpick the kids that we feel would gain the most.
Right, I understand. So the parents know ahead of time there's a difficulty in the student's progress in school. But the first time they learn of the opportunity is going to be November 1st?
Probably right around then. And that was, for a student, to use the example of AIP, the Academic Intervention Program, which is already in place, students who fail in the fourth quarter know that they are returning to school as part of AIP. They start from day one, and that's the letter the parents get at the end of the school year. So if your child had done okay in the fourth quarter and then had a tough first quarter of grades, they would receive the same information that the child would be going into AIP. And that, again, is a contract. The parents sign up on that. There's regular attendance taken, and the teacher reports into those parents on a regular basis. And AIP really focuses on homework, organizational skills, and just really touching base with the children. And for many children, that makes a significant difference. But now we're saying, let's take it to the next level in reading and math and really focus on some reteaching and some basic skills that are needed.
Right, and I appreciate the purpose of the program, and I think its time has more than come. I'm wondering about the optimal way of communicating this to the families so they have time to think about it and be persuaded as to its merits. I'm wondering if it would be helpful to have the teacher play, or maybe I haven't heard or don't quite understand the full piece of this, but the teacher play a more active role in communicating with the parent that, gee, we have a program coming up that I think would be of a lot of help to your child. I hope you'll give this some serious consideration. Because I tend to think parents, as a parent myself, I particularly look to the teacher who has my child day in and day out as being the most credible school representative as to how my student is doing, how my child is doing, and what their needs are.
I wouldn't disagree, but I have had greater success when I pick up the phone and call because it kind of really gets the message across that something's wrong. You know, because they've heard from the teacher in progress reports, they've heard from the teacher throughout the quarter. So I don't think it's a surprise to the parent. One of the things I always tell teachers is no parent should be surprised by the grade on the report card, because then I have a problem. I mean, if your child walks in with an F, I would hope there had been numerous conversations so that maybe you were hoping it was a D, but the F didn't really surprise you.
Okay, so you're gearing for the students who are most in need of this.
Correct.
What can you kind of quantify the size of the target population that you'd be considering here?
Well, we wouldn't be looking at students who are already identified because they would be receiving
Conflicting with-
schools services during the school day. So if we went to the next tier, I'll call it, and use sixth grade as an example, you're looking at 38 students approximately on the ILR kneecap that scored in what I would call the 30th percentile where we're concerned. Now, some of those students just aren't good test takers, and they're going to do fine grade-wise, and they'll go to extra help, and their parents are very supportive, so they're not considered at risk because the job gets done. So we will look at that group, and out of that group, we will learn which ones are really struggling. You know, we get great recommendations for sixth grade from the 3 elementary schools, and they're always there to call and say, you know, this is a child we're looking at, what is your ideas? And many times they have attempted and done many of the same things using recess time and extra help sessions.
Okay, so the proposal is to find as many as 48 students who can be served by this.
No, the proposal would be a maximum of 24, 8 at each grade. Now, we are then looking at that, you know, 2 days a week, it could go up to 48, but I think really in that first quarter, you're going to be looking at 24, because again, your first quarter are usually the students' best grades, you know, on the report card.
All right.
I mean, could it grow to 48? Yes, but in starting up quarter 2, I think you're going to be looking at a number closer to 24.
24.
Some instances, we're going to make this call and we're going to be refused. Just like when we did all the work for summer school, again, we're targeting the same population. We're just hoping that by doing it right after school and providing the transportation, we get a greater attendance rate.
All right, so 24 in each grade.
8 at each grade for the 3-year levels for 24, 2 days a week. So
There's
a
24
maximum-
students in reading, 24 in math.
48, right?
Right, right.
48.
Yeah.
Potentially, yes.
Okay. We've tried to help these kids in the summertime in reading and math. Not a huge response. We have been able to help the math kids to some degree. The hope is that this, particularly since it's right after school and during the academic part of the year, it will be more
Well, the other hope is,
successful.
if I look at an 8th grader and I'm heading into the 3rd quarter, I can now have a conversation with a parent on the phone that your child potentially is going to fail math for the year, and as a result is going to be maybe involved in a LIFT program, going to be assigned to the high school, and now with potentially 2 days a week for that child, there's a chance that we can address the weaknesses and pass that final. So, I mean, we open up another opportunity, which is, I think, what we talked about a couple months back with the at-risk population, to give them as many chances as we possibly can. And I think if we get the right individuals teaching the classes, that we can really make some gains in these areas.
All right, so if in the end you want to end up ideally with 48 positions filled, what do you estimate that you'll be putting out for the quantity of invitations?
I usually will sign for a quarter about 100 to 125 letters for failures. So that's where my starting point will be. And then from there, you know, we're looking at slightly below 50% participation. And to be honest, I think for some of these children, it will be a struggle for them to get there and stay in the program. You know, we see the same thing with AIP. We have a waiting list for AIP, and it's all based on attendance, which is the academic intervention program.
Right.
So, I mean, there are parents who are constantly calling us to have children added to that. And then when they are added, they don't necessarily follow through.
Right. So we'll find out, but
Right.
if in the event, I'm not expecting this, but in the event we have quite a response, I would assume you'd be open to looking for increasing.
I would come back and ask for more money.
Okay.
You know, that, you know, and if, again, we get the response and the success, I think it would be money very well spent.
Thank you.
Ron and then Dan?
The first question I have is, I'm looking at this, I think the plan is outstanding. Why are we starting math in the third and fourth quarter as opposed to the second to the fourth quarter?
I felt that by starting the math a little later, one, we could get the reading off, and it really goes along with our building focus of literacy. And two, I feel in math, because of our computation tests on a monthly basis, I get much more constant data than I have in my reading program. So by the time I get halfway through the year, we know exactly what the topics the child has struggled on. We know exactly where the weaknesses are in terms of computation. And then I think we can put together a very successful plan for the second half of the year to address those needs. The other concern is some of these children are going to have overlap in both subjects. So if I can get them off and running in one, and now make that call in January for the second one and say, look, we've had great success in reading in the second quarter, I really would love to see Johnny or Susie start on Thursdays in math as well, and go from there. It was also just trying to make sure that what we did was doable with the highest rate of success.
Okay, because it almost would make sense to me if the children are not participating in the summer program. That tells me that we've identified them the previous year. It almost looks like this would be something you start in September.
Well, I
Really,
think-
for those children that,
I think in this budget cycle, you'll see that request. This kind of, Mark called me, said we had summer money left that we didn't spend because we had hoped that children would enroll in the program. Annie, Mark, and I met and really felt that, you know, right now, let's see if we can get this off the ground, take advantage of when we have control over the kids, and it would become a September program, just like the AIP. I mean, we have kids that start AIP on the second Monday of the school year.
I've got to ask the next question. The 3 hours, I don't have a problem. What I'm having trouble with is, we have 2 hours of contact time and an hour of planning. Seems to be little imbalanced to me. Can you explain that to me, please?
Well, with the 8 students that you're going to have, they're basically going to be 8 individuals that are going to need a variety of services. You know, you're going to be differentiating extensively. And we felt that the hour of prep over the course of the week was appropriate for the number of minutes per night that an individual teacher was going to have to devote to this. Because you're looking at also going back and talking with that team teacher, because again, the instructor for the class might not be the same classroom teacher, and having conversations with them regarding, you know, what things are going on.
Andy, was part of your thinking that basically they were going to be individual instruction plans? Because part of the concept was you're going to have 8 kids that may be in different points, particularly in reading or what have you. So we'd be looking at, in a sense, almost individual instructional plans for the kids. So it wouldn't be like regular class where you might have group instruction, except if in fact right across the board everybody was having difficulty with a particular topic, so that you could specifically hone in on 1 or 2 kids. So that might require multiple preparations. Even in a class of 8, you may wind up with 3, 4, 5, or 6 preparations based on the individual student. Was that part of the thinking?
That, as well as by keeping it lower, a lot of times it's the teacher's spark that really sets off the enthusiasm within the student and changes them from a struggling student, you know, and we know our team teachers are working hard at this, but anytime you can put another mentor in front of a kid, the opportunity for success is greater. So I think, you know, I would be able to take a hard look at that in the future. My vision right now is I'm going to be sending you 8 unique individuals who will have separate and unique needs. And I'm going to be asking and expecting a lot of you in preparation. You know, we plan to monitor this, Mark, myself, and Annie, in terms of what's going on, what is being taught. I do not expect this to be, you know, a blanket lesson where the 8 students show up and I do one thing on the board. I really want it tailored to going to the teacher, what was this child's weakness, you know, if it was computation, was it in multiplication or division? If it was in reading, is it in comprehension, is it in fluency? And really gear everything to that.
Dan?
Obviously, most of the questions have been asked, but I think I concur with Ron relative to the timing and implementation. I think it's an excellent idea. The money's there, and I think the board would, well, I can't speak for the entire board, but I think it, in the budget, it would be a plan that we would probably support to continue relative to financing of the thing. But these are children that are struggling now, that are identified, that could benefit from the services, and the quicker we put this program in front of them, the quicker it benefits them relative to the kids that are in the school this year. We can talk about the children that are in school next year, but since we're implementing the program and we certainly have different staff teach, we're not having the same staff teach reading and math.
That's correct.
So I would think that to service these 8 children in 3 sessions or 2 sessions, that it would be much more beneficial to implement the program now. I heard what you said, Andy, but I don't see the stumbling block that your concern, you know, certainly go with your ultimate suggestion, but my recommendation would be try to do the best we can to put the math out there conducive with the reading. And if I would assume that some of the children are going to be the same children in both programs. And I would think with the additional instruction that child 1 would benefit from what you just said about almost an individual lesson plan in both reading and math, rather than an integration into it 4 months later. So I think if you can get more instruction to that child, it might be easier to come those additional 2 days and start benefiting quickly rather than 3-4 months. And how much do you really get for come, when do we implement math under this recommendation?
Third and fourth.
So you only really have 2-3 months, and then you're into the spring and summer, and you're out of there. So I would think if we want to see the benefit for the kids that are in the school now, that we attempt to try to integrate this now. Just a thought.
I might cover what you wanted.
That's it for me. And thank you, by the way.
To Ron's question, I understand your answer in regards to the prep time, but I have a question. The regular education teachers, how much prep time do they get paid for in a regular school day?
In a regular school day, at the middle school, you have 1 prep period, and then you have a team planning period. And they're 2 separate and distinct things.
So each teacher has a full period a day to prepare for all of their classes?
Correct.
Ron, did you have something else?
Yes, if it's an individual plan, okay, what would the reason be to isolate this into grade levels? If I'm doing IEPs for each of the students, could I gain some efficiencies and almost move some of the classes around, let's say Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, but they're both math classes, and you can have a group of students in those classes to maybe a Monday, Wednesday schedule doesn't work for someone on Tuesday, and do the same thing for reading, since we're doing an independent study program per se with supervision, that might be a way to do it. And again, that may be a way to split it.
I think what will happen is this is going to evolve to what is best for the kids. And if I have a group of children whose parents say to me that they want the program, but they can only stay on Wednesday and they need math, well, there'll be an offering on Wednesday for math. So I think we will build that flexibility in. And if we didn't get the enrollment, then I might reduce the sections and have a teacher teaching multiple grade levels in that section. So let's say I only had 8 kids in the whole school sign up for the math component. Well, then I would probably just offer 1 section and ask 1 math teacher to teach those 8 kids on 3 different levels.
What would the minimum number be for to run go, no-go with the class.
I'd be really disappointed if I couldn't get the 8. I mean, I think if it goes much below 6, you know, I really have to question whether we want to spend the dollars again, you know, because again, this is going to be a phone call invitation from Blake or myself with stressing why and really how this can benefit the child. And I would say the majority of times, parents are very supportive, especially when it's right after school and transportation is provided.
So, these funds would come out of the existing budget that was intended to have been spent for summer school education for students typical of this.
Yes.
Correct.
That chose for one reason or another not to attend summer school. It sounds to me like this would be considered a pilot program that we would then review at budget time.
Right.
Sounds like the board was interested, particularly if it's a pilot program like that, that you would accelerate the math portion. And I think the conversations at budget time should be interesting on this. So if someone would make a motion to support that and this, and,
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we support the proposal for the middle school academy for students at risk in reading and math, with the exception that the math program go from the second semester to the fourth semester.
I'll second that.
Second quarter.
Second quarter, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll second that.
Fine.
any further discussion? Paul?
Any impediments to that, Andy?
Right. I don't really see any. You know, if there are, for any reason, I'll come back to the board at the beginning of the second quarter and give you an update on why it's not proceeding. Or even I could probably at that point come back with, you know, commitments and give you some rough numbers on how it's going.
And you're comfortable with that?
Yeah, I mean, the next big thing for me would be just the postings and getting teachers that are interested. You know, so if that was an issue, I would have to come back to the board, but, I mean, I think out of the 12 math teachers, there'll be some
When I
interest.
first read this and saw Ann Kalechi's name attached to it, I assumed that the math would have been first out of the gate. But
She's pushing the literacy very hard.
I have a question, but I'll wait for the vote, after the vote.
I don't, yeah, because we're right at the end of the meeting. Why don't you go ahead and ask the question and
Okay.
call the vote?
So you'll know what the attendance is, how many kids are going to sign up by late November?
I should know by parent-teacher conference, which is the 17th.
Okay, so would it be possible at a late November board meeting, or even just an email through Nate, to give us a sense of
Yeah.
the numbers signing up? And then when would be the first opportunity through assessments? Would sometime in the spring, would you have any idea? Would you be tracking these kids?
Well, the first formal assessment would be the Iowa, which I think it might be a little too late. We can look at getting some, what I would call teacher data based on those things. I mean, because we're hoping that, you know, this program will impact things like attendance and a number of other things because of the contact. So I think we can bring back some data. It won't be in the form of concrete assessment, but I think it'll allow us to draw some conclusions. And then the Iowas we can target this population and specifically pull them out with the IRM data and give you a really, here's where they were and here's where they are now.
So you would begin to have some information around what time frame, would you say?
Well, I think we could even, the first simple thing would just be a comparison of the first and second quarter grades for these students in the targeted areas. And I do know we have some assessments that we could utilize in reading that we could administer to give us some ideas. You know, we could even look at a pre-test assessment for the group in reading. I'd have to think about the math a little bit.
Thank you. We have a first by Ron and a second by Dan. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, I made a motion, we go into non-public session.
Yes, Nate, you have
Before we
something in
go to
public? It
non-public-
wasn't accepted yet.
Real quick, one, I want to thank Mark, Andy, and Annie for putting this together in fairly short order and to address a need. And just for the general public, too, we're mentioning transportation. We're piggybacking on the late bus. So we already have a bus that's going through, so it's not like there's a additional cost in there, and that was one of the reasons that they helped to put the program together, because we had existing transportation, middle school kids, it's hard to get back and forth, so.
And based on the reasons that people do not participate in the summer programs, it will be interesting to hear those that participate or do not participate in this program.
Absolutely.
And Ron, you were saying?
Yes, I was saying, make a motion to go into non-public session under RSA 91A3, Section 2, A through F.
Second.
First by Ron and second by George. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, Steve Young.
George Herman.
Thank you. And thank you very much. If you're in this room, you are on the air.
Oh dear.
I was waiting for Adriana. See you before you run, please.
Hey, Bonnie?
So hopefully still not in the parking lot.
Donnie told you. Bring it to the sale and band show.
What about that sale and band show?